Hello everyone, how are you? Not sure if we're locked down or not tomorrow. The gallery is often very cautious about these things, so I'm kind of preparing just in case we can't meet tomorrow. So tomorrow's our third lesson, and I've been thinking about for you, and you'll see in our term plan that I had a suggestion of alternation, passage and contrast. Now also talking about planning our whites in our painting, and you may remember in previous discussions, beginners, you might not remember, but I'll repeat everything a million times. With watercolor, typically we start from light to dark. We start with the white of the paper and then we build up perhaps through the spectrum from light to dark. So thinking about the spectrum, thinking about it as a rainbow, well, not quite a rainbow, I was just going to say red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet, which is kind of where I'm heading with this, but probably starting more with yellow and then building into an orangey color, maybe a red, and this depends on your palette. This is not the only way to do it, but it is a good way for beginners to start and understand that concept with watercolor of painting from light of your paper, here it is here, light of your paper through to darks, and that might be black, yeah, might be a lot of black, or it might be a lot of white of the paper. It just depends on what you're doing. And another thing for us all to remember is that there is about 3 million ways to paint a watercolor painting, and every one of them is the right way of painting a watercolor. The only thing that I would say to contradict that is that maybe some ways are quicker than others. Maybe some ways will be easier or harder. Some of them will leave you scratching your head. Some of them might leave you scratching your head for days or weeks. It doesn't mean to say they can't be finished. And that's another thing that we will be talking about later this term is, you know, how do I know if it's finished? Or, you know, getting past that hurdle of the mid stage, which is always the nasty stage no matter what medium you're using. And in particular with watercolor, the middle stage is difficult because you've probably only got to mid values. So it just looks really bland and horrible. So it just needs some darks, yeah? Anyway, that's what we're going to talk about today. So planning your whites, we're going to talk about alternation. Alternation is when, I've got no example here. Alternation is, alternation is my earrings, yeah? I've got dark in the center of my earrings, white on the outside, that's pretty close to the dark of my dress, that's next to a light value of my skin, and the shadow behind my shoulder is darker, and the green of my chair is lighter, blah 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 blah, so on and so on and so on and so on, yeah? And if you look around you, if you look around where you're sitting, where you're standing, whatever, you'll see there's alternation all around you. And what we're trying to do as artists is harness that alternation, exaggerate the alternation. So we've got the lightest light of the paper next to the darkest dark in your painting, and that might be close to a very rich dark color. The other thing we're going to talk about is passage. Passage really is a great connector to alternation. Passage is where I'm using my visual language, my painter's language, to get the viewer's eye to move around the painting. So we'll have a talk about that more later, and it's something, all of these things are going to crop up every week, every time you sit down to paint, these are the things you're going to be talking about. Contrast, we've talked about lightest light against darkest dark. We've talked about alternation. So I'm just checking my notes so I don't miss anything. And okay, for intermediates, and for your beginners, I've got these lovely sunflowers. Now, they were lovelier when I bought them on Friday, and today they look disgusting. So I've thrown out the rest of them, and he's the nicest ones left. and they look a bit grim, don't they? But I think we'll cope. Yeah, we'll cope. Of course, you can go down the road and buy your own. But what I'm I paid a fortune for these sunflowers, and I've only gotten 4 days out of them. Well, but anyway, here's something to note. Can I hold this and point without killing myself or doing anything? So I'm just looking to see, because I'm back to front here in the camera. Here, no, not there, here. Okay, I'm just going to point. There is the lightest yellow that you can see, but on the periphery, on the outside edges, that yellow is quite a dark yellow. So this is a very important thing in watercolor, is how do I make that yellow darker without changing it to green, for example. Yeah, you might not want it to change to green. You might want it to be green. That's fine. But part of the skill development is also understanding your colors and knowing what colors to use to deepen a color, a hue, or a value. No, not a value. Strike that. Deepen a color or a hue without changing its hue. So I'm not going to change yellow to green to darken it, even though green is one of the darkest colors on the spectrum on your color wheel. But what I want to do is retain its yellowness. And how can I do that? So there's something else that we'll be talking about as well. Aren't they lovely? I love sunflowers. Aren't they just gorgeous? Beautiful. Hope I can do them justice. So that's what we're going to fool around with today. I'll just pop them there for now. So the other thing that we're going to talk about is palette selection. So I've got these lovely yellow flowers. Can I do this without tipping everything over? No, I probably can't. Okay, leave it. I've got these beautiful yellow flowers. What can I do in my painting to make those flowers more yellow, make them appear more yellow without painting more yellow? So we're going to talk about palette selection and what colors would I choose to make these beautiful yellow flowers yellow. What colors will I choose to make the light of the yellow flowers more light? What will I choose to make them look a deeper yellow? So a little bit of an allergy going on here, and I'm quite itchy. My face is actually numb. Fancy that. Another sunblock that I'm allergic to. Anyway, palette selection, what makes a good palette? Okay, so we'll talk about that soon. So see you in a couple of minutes. Hopefully it won't take me that long. So I will load up these videos for you to see this afternoon, and hopefully there's good news about tomorrow. Hopefully I'll see you tomorrow at the gallery. So ciao, talk soon, bye bye.